This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show, even though it has not been weekly in quite some time. I apologize for that. We've been having some internet issues here at home, and it's kept us from being able to stream as often as we can. We've also messed with the layout just a little bit, moving things around, making some logos a little bit smaller, just trying to give you more of the screen so that we don't clog it up. You'll probably even see this in my weekly games whenever I stream, just so that we can mix things around and try to give you the best view possible, and we'll even play with this just a little bit more. So welcome so much to Press Pass Live, number 160. I am doing a solo job. I'm worked from home today, finished my work for the day sick. I've got double ear infections, which is not fun at all, but because of that, I'm just going to run a solo so I don't have to wear my headphones. Let's just jump right into it. Fire drill, man. We've missed most of the season. It's already week number 16. I think we'll be into week number 17 here in just a little bit. I think about 8, 9, 10 o'clock, something like that, tonight, Central Time. We'll be into week number 17 and then off to the playoffs. I got to talk about my game of the week, and this has to go to the week 15 matchup of what the hell just happened in this league. 66-59, the Indianapolis Colts beat the Denver Broncos. And the Colts, over the last 2 weeks, have given up over 100 points. That is not like any Colts team that we have ever seen here in the OMFL, and the Denver Broncos hung with them. And there's even some upsets that came this past week against the Indianapolis Colts. So there's definitely a struggle here. You can see that this one exploded in the second quarter and then exploded in the fourth quarter as both teams just had an offensive outrage, just kind of going all out and having big plays after big plays. 846 total yards for the Indianapolis Colts, 824 for the Denver Broncos. Only one turnover in this entire game. 349 yards rushing for the Colts, 427 yards passing for the Denver Broncos. And we can even see time of possession here was almost completely even, 20-42 for the Colts, 19-18 for the Denver Broncos. Let's break it down for a few stats here. Cam Newton with just an outstanding day. 3 touchdowns passing, a rating of 158. So I think that's a perfect record. Maybe 159 is the perfect. He was 18 for 23, 78% for 286. And then Hunter Woodward, a second-year quarterback that they drafted, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 62% completion percentage. He went 22 of 35 for a quarterback rating of 132.9, 427 yards against this Colts defense, which is not something that you see. Here's something that you do see a whole lot of. Hines, 18 carries, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lindsey was not far behind him, 18 carries for 176, 9.8 average and 3 touchdowns himself. Leonard Fournette, I don't know which one of you out there gave, well, we do know because Leonard Fournette, I think, was a Patriot last season, to the Colts, but shame on you. 13 carries for 96 yards. His second running back had 13 carries for 100 yards. Just crazy. And 3 touchdowns himself. Fant, another really great player there for the Denver Broncos, 7 receptions, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyler Smith, 9 receptions, 151 yards, no touchdowns, but still averaged 16.8 yards per reception, as the Denver Broncos have never really struggled with being able to find some offensive firepower. No sacks given up in this game to go just 1 interception. That's outstanding for both of the defenses, but man, they gave up a ton of plays here. Malcolm Jenkins still getting it done, 10 tackles on the day. Simmons right behind him with 9, Callahan with 8. Your first Colt, Mr. Sin, with 6. Sacks on the day, again, we didn't have any, and then the 1 interception coming from the Colts, Cashman. I know D-Wayne plays a lot of this player, and this guy just flies all around the field making plays. And the Indianapolis Colts sneak away with a touchdown in this one, and gave up 59 points. Not something you see from the Indianapolis Colts a whole lot of. And then they actually fall the next week, last night, to the New York Giants. And I think they gave up another 45, 55 points, something crazy like that. So the Colts are definitely struggling as we roll into the AFC playoffs here. And this was a crazy game, and hopefully one that these guys decide to submit for Game of the Week, because this should be an instant classic that just sits inside of our vault. All right, let's look at some AFC playoff predictions here. I'm going to give my predictions. I have not looked at this outside of what I know Bill has been posting. Let's go ahead and give you the rundown, I think, of where we sit right now. Let's go ahead and move over to the AFC. I'm going to go ahead and pull up what Bill had posted, because I know he's been giving us the entire breakdown of exactly what's been going on. See if I can get to it real fast. I appreciate Bill for doing that. You can, of course, find that on our Daddy Leagues page, but it's also really great. Let's go ahead and pull it up there. This will play along. Sometimes we know that PlayStation doesn't want to play along the way we all want it to play along, but see if we can't pull this up real quick. I know right now, there we go. We definitely don't want that. That's going to be, there we go. Here's what we do want. See if we can pull this up. I know that the Miners are in first place, the Steelers in second, the third seed's to the Colts, fourth seed to the Jets, the fifth seed, or the first wild card, the fifth seed to the Titans, and the sixth seed, the last wild card, over to the Bengals. But let's see if we can't just pull it up here and show everybody exactly what we're talking about as we get ready for the playoffs. And it figures it's going to be a little bit of a pain. All right, here we go. I think that the playoffs here they're already all decided, and so this one's going to be pretty much set in stone outside of some possible playoff seeding matchups moving around. I know right now it shows the Colts at 12-2-1 as the number 1 seed, and I think it's because of that tie that happened. You got the Steelers in the number 2 seed at 13-2, the Miners at 13-2, the number 3 seed, the Jets at 9-4, the Titans at 12-3, and then the Bengals at 11-4. And I think that that's totally up to date. So Daddy Leagues has the most updated round, and I think that this is pretty much set again. There might be some minor movement here. I don't have this stuff absolutely memorized, but we're going to go as if this is how it falls. Of course, the Colts, with 2 of the rough games these last 2 weeks, have kind of come back to the pack a little bit. The Steelers have been there all year long with that amazing front 7 defensive linemen and linebackers, some of the most outstanding front 7 that we've ever seen. The Miners with that very explosive offense and just enough defense to make it happen. The Jets known for their defense, but you can see, even though at the 4th seed, they are kind of that second-tier player here in the AFC at 9-4-2. The 2 is the one that sticks out. I don't know if he's had a couple of CPU games, or maybe even if he's just had a couple of sim games that have got him those ties. Tennessee Titans and Mo have fought tough all season long and really battled to be there in the running. They've got the number 5th seed. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, the guy that everyone thought tanked, I think, 2 seasons ago. I don't know, maybe it was last season. They're sitting at 11-4. The Chiefs just sitting right outside of the playoffs. The Patriots, the Jaguars, and the Browns all were kind of fighting for there, but it was really the Chiefs and the Patriots that were fighting for it the most. and we're right there kind of on the bubble. If this falls exactly like this and there isn't a whole lot of changes, you're going to have the Bengals and the Miners playing each other, the Jets and the Titans playing each other. Those would be some really fun matchups. Again, the Bengals and Miners would be an offensive firepower of a game. We'd see a lot of points put up in that game, and whoever kind of didn't turn the ball over the least would probably be the team that won that one. The Miners are going to be playing at home. If that's the matchup that we end up seeing, number one, I think it's going to be a lot of aggression. You're going to see some teams take some chances in this one and try to have that knockout punch even pretty early. And I could see how this game, if it gets away from either one of these teams early, could unravel pretty quickly and maybe not have that late comeback. I think both of these teams can get in their own head sometime, especially when they're down big. I would go ahead and just take the Miners just simply because they're playing at home. But I think the Bengals have played amazing football. They definitely have found the players that they've needed, and they're right back in the hunt here in the AFC. And the AFC playoffs just feels kind of normal now that we see the Bengals right back in it. And then you've got the Jets and hosting the Tennessee Titans. Mo really has been comeback player of the year. You could probably give that nod to the Cincinnati Bengals as well. But man, Mo has really turned things around there in Tennessee. He's found the right mixture of players that he needs, and he's right back in the hunt here at 12-3 and had some really outstanding games, especially late here in the season. Of course, this Press Pass Live is coming to you after our last one in the playoffs of last season, so we really haven't got to talk about any of these teams. The Titans were not a team that I expected to be in the hunt until he kind of proved himself, and he's done that this season, really proving himself. We do have the chat up too, guys. It's going to be here on the left side, so feel free to chat. I know some of you maybe are watching us on the drive home, or some of you maybe already are home or wrapping up your day. We appreciate you tuning in. I want to go ahead and knock this out. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Tennessee Titans to get the upset on the road against the New York Jets. Both of these teams play really great defense. At least that's what Mo's known for, but we know that's what Jason's known for. But 9-4-2, that's a pretty up and down season. He has the opportunity to finish this season with double-digit wins, but I just think still lacks some of the offensive firepower that you're going to need. You can hear my son's dog playing with him in the background. Hopefully that doesn't keep on here. But you'll see a lot of that take place where the Jets just don't have the offense that it takes to keep up with the defenses that you're going to see here in the playoffs. I'd like the Tennessee Titans to win this one. That would give me a weird matchup. We'd have the Tennessee Titans traveling to face the Indianapolis Colts, and the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Miners. I'm going to start with that one because I think that could potentially be one of the funner games that we get to see in this year's playoffs. It's going to be all offense against defense. I don't have the stats in front of me to play off. I'm kind of going off of history. Again, I've had a hard time keeping up this season with little internet and a lot of travel that's been taking place. I think that the Steelers are going to beat the Miners. They're at home. They have that outstanding defense. I think they do have enough offense to keep up. But Goff is going to have to not turn the ball over. If Goff starts turning the ball over, the Steelers are going to find themselves getting in trouble. The Miners are going to put up points, but they're going to struggle against that defensive front seven of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get after the quarterback. They cause a lot of pressure. Now, the Miners do have the legs of Jackson. He can run around a little bit and be able to make plays, so he does have that in his back pocket. But that defense is so fast, so powerful. I see them being able to make a whole lot of plays. So give me the Pittsburgh Steelers in a close one at home. I think like a 24-21 type game would not surprise me. Then the Indianapolis Colts versus the Tennessee Titans. I think these guys may have even just played recently. I could be wrong on that. I know that the Tennessee Titans had a rough game here lately that was super tight. I think this will be another really, really good game, but I got to give the nod to the Indianapolis Colts just because they've shown me a little something with their offense. Even though their defense have given up way more plays than what we're used to seeing, their offense has been able to keep pace and being able to make plays and put up points. It's going to be a new thing for the Indianapolis Colts. Usually they play really good defense, just enough offense to mix it up and keep you on the ropes. Again, Hines is the reigning offensive player of the year, you really look. You gotta plan for that guy to show up each and every week and hang 200 yards and 3 touchdowns on you. Tennessee Titans might be able to slow him down just enough, but I think Cam Newton can make enough plays. I do think this will be much closer than what you expect. Give me a 33-35 victory for the Indianapolis Colts, which would set up a Colts-Pittsburgh Steelers rematch for the ages. These two guys don't really care for each other. There was definitely some heat coming off of their game last year, and I think that we'll see a lot of the same happen again. Look for this one to be another really good defensive matchup, and that's where I begin to worry about the Colts. Their defense has struggled. They've just given up a lot of big plays since the slider settings have kind of evened the playing field, especially with the speed. I would like to see Cashman make some plays in this one. I think he will against Goff. I think if you see them make some plays against that Steelers offense, this is going to be a super tight game. I just think that Steeler defense is going to get after Cam Newton. We've seen in OMFL Bowl 88 what happens when you get after Cam Newton, cause him to become very uncomfortable. Sometimes Dwayne will tend to lean on Cam to make more plays instead of sticking what he knows works, and that's giving the ball to Hines. So again, look for this one to be pretty close, but I'm going to pick the upset. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers and all of that investment in those X-Factor players is going to pay off for him, and it better pay off for him because I think you will see some of those X-Factors go away with our new development program after this season. I think he will represent the AFC in OMFL Bowl number 89. That's going to bring us to the NFC and the next set of games. Feel free again to come chat with me. I am running solo, just wanting to do a Press Pass Live since it's been some time since we've been able to do one. You've got the Atlanta Falcons at 14-1. They have been another tremendous powerhouse. You got the surprise Eagles. I was talking earlier about the AFC, how the Bengals and Titans could be comeback coach of the year. Look for that also to get to the a nod for the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been my biggest shock, my biggest surprise this season. They're sitting at 12-3 in the number 2 seed. The Seattle Seahawks at 12-3. They're the number 3 seed. The Chicago Bears in the division that no one wants to win are sitting at 7-7 and the number 4 seed. And then you got the Dallas Cowboys, the number 5 seed at 9-5-1. But he's on auto, so don't be surprised if we see some movement here. The Redskins with a big loss to those Eagles last night, sitting at 9-6, the number 6 seed. Here's a couple teams still in the running. The Los Angeles Rams at 10-5, the number 7 seed, and then my number 8 seed, the 9-6 New Orleans Saints. The Cardinals, I'm sorry if I can spit it out here, are playing the Redskins in week number 17. The Redskins need to win if they're going to stay in. The Rams need them to lose. The Dallas Cowboys, I think, are playing the Eagles. I think I have that right. Again, another tough game. The Eagles need a win to keep that number 2 seed so they have something to play for. I think that there's a chance that the Dallas Cowboys will be a CPU game. So look for Dallas to fall out. I think the Redskins are going to fall out after that tough loss. I think the Rams and Saints sneak in. And I think that the Eagles will continue to hold on to that number 2 seed. That would then give you the Falcons in the number 1 seed, Eagles in the number 2 seed, Seahawks 3, Bears 4, Rams 5, Saints with a prayer sneaking in at the number 6 seed. This is totally guessing. There is some movement that can happen. It's going to make for a really fun Week 17. It's what we want here. We want that parity. We want a lot of teams in the running. We don't want to see what we see in the AFC where it's pretty much decided early on. Instead, we want to see a lot of teams in the running and a lot of teams having that chance for some pivotal Week 17 matchups. All right, that would then give us the Seattle Seahawks trying to get their revenge on the New Orleans Saints at home. Of course, the Saints beat them 3 weeks ago at home in a tough game. It was a good game, at least I thought it felt like a good game. He didn't have the same point of view. We had a really good adult conversation about it. He didn't like my offensive game plan against him, where I was trying to give him some off-balance sets so I could see if he was in man or zone, because I know if it's going to be zone, it would probably be a cover 6 or cover 9. I knew kind of what I needed to look for to attack that, and that really helped me in this game, as well as having a really good team defense against the run. So he's definitely going to be looking for payback. I also got one I'm hanging on him from a couple of years ago in the playoffs when I got to the NFC Championship, but I do think that the Seahawks are the better team. Even though I tend to have his number, I think sometimes he gives me some pity wins because he knows I don't win all that much in this league. I do think the Seattle Seahawks will beat my New Orleans Saints. I think it'll be a close one because he and I tend to play each other pretty well. Give me like a 35 or 36-28 type game. Seattle Seahawks win that one at home. But it'll also face the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. I love you, Smash, but I think you've struggled this season. A lot of movement there in the NFC North. You've got some new blood there with the Detroit Lions and Cooley. I think he will definitely be a team that is winning this division next year, because you're not going to be able to be a 500 or sub-500 team with Cooley in your division and win your division. He's going to cause everybody to take their game up just a notch. And then we have the newcomer that's over there, and he's got the Minnesota Vikings. I guess it is Minneapolis, but I can't even think of his name right now. You got to forgive me. I'm sick, not feeling well, and trying to knock this out on a solo. Those teams are going to push the Bears to really up their game, and we got to still continue to work on trying to not bounce those runs, which have tended to be a problem for the Chicago Bears. That's a long-winded way to say I think that the Rams dominate in this one. Andrew Luck is playing superb for them. He's got his defense rolling. Gurley has been back and healthy. As long as Gurley stays healthy in this game, I think that the Rams roll in this one and get a nice road victory there in the playoffs, which sets up some really, really interesting matchups. We would then have the Atlanta Falcons facing off against the LA Rams, and we'd have the Eagles and the Seahawks. I'm going to start with the last one because I think it's the better game. You got the Eagles at home against the Seahawks, and the Seahawks have had a tremendously good season. It's been mainly in the air, and mainly from picking people off and getting a lot of sacks. If somehow you can curtail that if you're the Eagles. Now, the Eagles have had really tremendous play from Cox right up the middle. A pretty average play everywhere else. But, man, this guy is 12-3. He's had some really good victories against some really good teams. He says not. We'll see, Smash. I'm just saying, I think that he might challenge you. Anyway, I like the Philadelphia Eagles to actually drop this one. I just think the Seahawks know how to turn it on in the playoffs. I think this will be a close game. The Eagles never bow down. They never quit playing. But the Eagles had some weird plays this past week against the Redskins that really kept the Redskins in it. And you can't have those plays against the Seattle Seahawks. When you're trying to throw it deep and you're throwing into double and triple coverage, the Seahawks are going to pick those off. They're going to get some turnovers. Wilson's going to make you pay. The pivot point for me is going to be, what does Cox do against Wilson, and what does that Eagles defense do against the Seattle Seahawks run game? Can they some way, somehow turn it on? But I think by the time you get to Week 17, your record says who you are, you know who you are, and a lot of that doesn't really change. And so I don't think that magically we're going to see some type of offensive running game blowout from the Seattle Seahawks. I think you know what they are. They've got amazing receivers on the outside, an amazing quarterback. I think you're going to see a lot of that come true here in the playoffs. No, true. You've had a lot of really good seasons. I'm just saying, overall, the long-term game of this 7-7 record, Smash, has been what we tended to see from the NFC North. Then that will set up the Atlanta Falcons at 14-1, hosting the 10-5 Los Angeles Rams. I keep saying St. Louis. It's stuck in my head. I got to change it. I think this will be a blowout. I love Bill. I think he has had a tremendous season, but the Falcons are on a different level. I will say the new slider adjustments, even though a lot of people have been complaining about how the game has felt, I think that we've actually responded really well to the adjustments in game. We've gotten a little bit closer to 50s all the way throughout, including speed, and I felt like the game has felt more even and more balanced, and like you don't go into a game against the Falcons, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Colts, the Steelers, and feel like, I've got no chance in this game. I've had those games where it's felt like no matter what you do, you've got no chance. Now I feel like the Falcons are beatable. You just have to play the perfect game. And I think the St. Louis, I did it again, the Los Angeles Rams have the best potential to play the perfect game against him. Seattle Seahawks being a very close second, or maybe even just a 1B, no matter what order you kind of went there. But they're going to have to not turn the ball over. They have to get the running game going, and you're going to have to somehow turn the ball over on defense. You're going to have to get some turnovers. But I think the Falcons kind of run away with this one late. Give me like a 27-17 victory for the Atlanta Falcons. And that will set up the Seahawks and the Falcons in another really instant classic game. I think we've seen them go to a 1-point game in last year's NFC Championship game. I like the Atlanta Falcons once again. Give me the Atlanta Falcons in another really close one again. I think the Seahawks are like a 1B team that has the potential to play the perfect game. I think the problem for the Seahawks is going to be run game. Are they going to have the run game that it takes to stick into this one? I don't know that they do. And the balance that you get from the Atlanta Falcons is going to pay off. They do have a tremendous run game. Now, I will say the Seahawks can pick him off. They have this would be the matchup of 6 of the best cornerbacks that you will ever see in the OMFL on a field at one time. So there's a lot of potential for a close game. I think the Atlanta Falcons come away with a close one. Give me another 18-14 type game. That's a weird score, I know, but I'm going with a weird score in this one, and that would set up an Atlanta Falcons and Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl, OMFL Bowl, number 89 in my book. And this one could be one for the ages. Now, I got to put my guy on blast a little bit. Penguins, I think, had a great learning opportunity about how to handle losses here in the OMFL, and I think he's really grown from that, especially this season. But, man, if he thought he was pissed off last season, going and playing and getting to the bowl game and playing the Atlanta Falcons is another tough one. This could be the potential game of the century, though. Like, we've had some of those really amazing games, especially the Colts and Seahawks. I think we had some old matchups between the Bengals and Falcons when it was Dwayne and Cincyberg. We've had some of those really classic games. Even the Miners and Falcons in the first OMFL Bowl of Madden 20 was just one of those instant classics. I think we're going to see another one here. This one has a lot of really, really good potential. I do think, though, that the Atlanta Falcons are still king of the hill until told otherwise. I think you're going to see a lot of turnovers in this one. You're going to see a lot of sacks in this one. You're going to see a lot of teams. I would begin to think we're going to see a lot of 8 in the boxes from both of these teams. We're going to see a lot of 3 wide and shotgun runs in this one. I think they're going to be really grasping at the straws to try all kinds of stuff to break in and make something happen in this game. It will be a very good game, but again, I like the Atlanta Falcons. I think this will be fairly low scoring. Give me a 21-18, 17 type game. I think maybe a late field goal in this one would not shock me. I would expect to see a late turnover that really turns the tide. I would not be totally blown away if the Steelers finally dethrone the Falcons, but what I don't want to see is the Colts and Falcons. If I have to be brutally honest, I just think that Colts defense has been just shaken, and they're going to lack a lot of confidence. They've lost to him 3 times in a row now. I just don't think that's a matchup I want to see again. I want to see this Pittsburgh Steelers and all of those X factors on the field against a tremendously effective and efficient Atlanta Falcons offense. I think it has the most firepower, or the most potential for firepower, as any game that we have seen in a very long time. All right, I'm going to look at a couple of owner-submitted questions. I don't think that we have any. I haven't checked this in quite some time. We haven't had a Press Pass Live in some time, but we'll go ahead and check it really fast. Yep, I didn't think we'd have anything. Oh, that says we got another page. Let's go ahead and check page number 9. But if not, I do have a little bit of a rant that I can go on. Okay, we got a couple here. Let's go ahead and run through these real quick. Thanks for the vine from Denbrew. Of course, Denbrew loves submitting his questions. I would like your take. There you go, Nate. Let's read it. Do you feel X factors have a positive impact on the OMFL? I would say overall, yes. I like the idea of X factors. I like the idea of a player being very unique in his own skill set and being able to play uniquely and impact a game and even sometimes overtake a game. I do believe that some of the X factors are weird and they're too easy. They're too easy to keep. They're too easy to achieve. I'd like to see some more of like the X factors of what I had with Cam Jordan. You get 2 sacks, your X factor is activated, but if they gain 10 yards or more, it's deactivated. So it's like a hard get and an easy loss. I think that's the kind of thing we'll hopefully see in Madden 21. I think the part that is not talked about here that has affected the league the most has been superstars with abilities, because those are kind of always activated. I would begin to like to see some of these abilities change. I think some are way more powerful than others. Some don't correlate as well as others to the game style that we play. That's why we've opened things up a little bit more. Like Alvin Kamara, all of his X factors and abilities are around receiving the ball, but he's a running back. And so, in our kind of old rule set, it was very hard to activate or really have him impact the game. And now with the speed slider adjusted and that X factor, even though he's been hurt all season, he has more of an opportunity to impact the game the way we see on Sundays. So overall, yes. Here's where I say no in this aspect is that too many, too easy to get them, and too many, and they don't go away. And that's why we've created the system that we've created. I will say I don't think the system's perfect. I think it's pretty close. I think we've got a really good system implemented. There's the word I'm looking for, and I'm interested to see how many we actually lose and how many do we gain, and do we see that balance? I think that those X factors need to be in the 60 to 90 range overall, and I think we're way over 150. Could be close to 200 after this season in game, and that number needs to just be cut in half, and we need to see those numbers go away. And again, that's not, some people are not going to like that, but in the Madden Live rosters, they keep it in that 60 to 90. I think the number is like 75 range, and so when they update it, they're taking some away as they give new ones. And so that's the one thing the CFM doesn't do that we now have to implement, and hopefully we'll be able to see that. Cincyberg posted this a couple of months ago now. He said, do you think sack numbers are getting high? They were, which is why we did our adjustments going into this season. I think they've worked. We're not seeing the 50, 60 number. Let's go look real quick. I don't even know what the real numbers are. See if we can pull that up. I could be wrong, and maybe the numbers, it doesn't feel like they're as high. I've definitely had some games where I've given up a lot of sacks. This past week against the Browns, I gave up like 9 or 10 sacks. It was stupid. It was frustrated. But overall, we haven't really seen a lot of that, which I think is a really good thing. And so I think overall these numbers have definitely come down. Let's see if we can get to it here. I think we definitely have some high numbers. So TJ Watt at 47. I think the last year, this was like 10, 12, 14 more higher. But you'll see a lot of even though we've got a couple of 30s, there's not 12 of us in the 30s. There's definitely some high ones. I think they could come down even just a hair more. But with the new sliders that we have implemented for an entire season, we're bringing everyone that's above 92 down to 92 in finesse and power move. Those things will definitely help, and I think we'll continue to see this be a more normal number. It's always going to be a little bit high with the X factors, with the new gameplay, and with the fact that some of us just hold on to the ball too much and don't check down as often as we should. I think those numbers always mean that we're going to have a slightly higher number, but overall, I think it's starting to work its way to where it feels more manageable and feels like it more fits our gameplay style and kind of what we're looking to do. All right, see if we can get back over here to page number 9. think we had 2 more quick questions, and then I'll kind of rant about one little thing, and then we'll get out of here. What are your thoughts on removing X factors and leaving superstar abilities? I don't like it personally. I think that the superstars with abilities, I could be wrong on this. I haven't done my homework. I also don't think that that's possible. I think it's abilities, X factors, take away all in one, or keep all of it. So I don't think you can have both, unless you just mean go into the game and just move everybody down, which I guess is one option that we could do. Again, I think X factors are fine. I don't love all of them. I think some of them are too easy to get and keep for too long. But I also think X factors help you battle against teams that have a lot of superstars. Let's see where it fits after our new development plan. If the new development plan isn't working, then I think maybe there is something there. Personally, I think it's fine if we can get those X factor numbers to come down and we don't have 150, 160, 190 X factors. We can keep that number somewhere in that 60 to 90 range is where I'm pretty comfortable with. And then finally, do you think Madden dropped the ball in draft classes being too low? I absolutely do. I think that I'd like to see, I think the top is actually fine. I think I'd like to see a little bit better player in the medium range and a few more sleepers. That's something Madden has always struggled with, because at the end of the day, if there are sleepers in there, and we do try to sneak some in, you guys find them, and you find them pretty easy. A lot of guys draft just off of combine numbers with a few grades, and so it's really hard to find a really great sleeper. I'd like to see just slightly better middle range guy, kind of that second, fourth round type player. Not a lot. I don't think they're far off. If you look at the NFL, it drops off after the first 10, 15 picks. I just think the cliff is a little too steep in Madden. I'd like to see that be a little bit less of a steep drop-off and more of like a decline instead of a steep fall-off. If they did that, I think it would be fine. I also wish we just had somebody here that's super passionate about creating some Madden draft classes, downloading them, and fixing them yourself. I try to do that a little bit, but I don't have hours upon hours to really fix those things, and so it makes it really difficult to be able to do that. So thanks for the mailbag. I know it's been quite some time, and some of those are several weeks old, but I appreciate and I'm glad that we were able to do another Press Pass Live. Hopefully my internet sticks where it should be, and we should be in a good place. One quick little rant before we get out of here as we look at the schedule for week number 17, because I do think that there are going to be some really good games as we move into week 17. With some potentially playoff implications, especially in the NFC with seeding and a couple of teams still fighting. I think the 2 rants will be, number one, the development program. Some of you will never love anything that we do at all just because we don't like change and we think very selfishly of our team. I don't think we have a lot of guys like that here. I think we've got a lot of really good community guys here. But at the end of the day, we will always have owners that just care about their team. They just care about what you're doing to your team and how you win and how you're building your team. And yes, your point of view is that you've spent seasons building this team up. Why should you lose it? Priest is one of those guys. Look, I love you, Priest. He's been here for a very long time. But look, he just kind of cares about his team and what he does for his team. And you can tell from content and from engagement, that's pretty much all he really cares about. So some of you are not going to like the plan. I will kind of stand by. There are people ready to take your spot. And so if you think there are better communities out there and you don't like it, I just ask that you think thoroughly through your decisions. Because if you make decisions to leave here, there will be people that take your spot, and it won't be a come back in Madden 21, come back in a couple of days when you've cooled off and say, oh, please let me have my spot back. It doesn't work like that here. I am a loyal person. I've been loyal to the owners here, and I gave more chances than 99.9% of commissions would have. I try not to boot owners. That's kind of a last worst case scenario situation, but in return I expect loyalty even when you don't love the ideas. At some point, as the board of this league, as the commission of this league, we have to look at balance of the power, and the X factors are causing an imbalance, and a lot of leagues are fighting the same question that Little Koch gave us in the mailbag of what do we do with X factors, what do we do with superstars, and their answer has been turn it off. I don't love that answer. I think it isn't turn it off, it's balance. How do we balance it? Because it hasn't been balanced, and we need to bring balance. The other thing is gameplay. I think by now, we fight this every Madden. We will fight this every Madden as long as there's a community here and people that play Madden. As we start to figure out by now, you know it works, you know it doesn't, and we see a lot of teams only doing what works and doing just enough of what doesn't, so you don't get in trouble, you don't get 4s or 3s or 2s or 1s on your feedback. That's got to change a little bit. We need to see more balance from teams. We need to see more balance on the formations and the play calls that you're calling on defense. We need to see more balance on the types of runs that you're calling. We need to see more balance in the types of offensive formations. There's custom playbooks. You can literally have 300 plays in your playbook, which I think is every defensive play in Madden, and a lot of offensive plays. So to say that there isn't variety. And at the same time, some of our feedback forms have been a hair harsh. There's only so many defenses that you can actually call in Madden. Cover 2 man, cover 1 man, cover 3 zone, cover 2 zone, cover 6 zone, cover 9, basically the same, just flip-flopped. Cover 4 zone, and blitzes, and a variety of blitzes, man and zone blitzes. That's about it. There's only like 8 calls that you can make, and then you're mixing that up with different formations and different styles of formations. That's what we got to see. But to say, oh, well, all that guy did was call cover 2 man, cover 6 zone, cover 3 zone, and cover 4. Well, man, he just called 75% of the types of plays that you have. Now, if those 4 calls are coming out of the same formation, I get your frustration. Mix up the formations. But if you're playing a 4-3, you're pretty limited about the types of calls that you can see. Here are the things I'm going to be more lenient on. Cover 2 man and runs up the middle. You're going to have a hard time talking me into hammering an owner really harshly if those are their calls that they're making 55, 60% of the time, because those are fairly beatable. Now, I know that the argument is when you play the Seahawks, when you play the Falcons, they just man up on you. They use the safety to take away the weak area of their man defense, and they have really great pass rushers that go get the quarterback. And you're right. Very, very difficult because of that. And that's why I've got some leniency on playing a few more like closed or twin formations or tool tight end formations against those teams to try to figure out a way to attack them. But at the end of the day, they built that team, and you just have to go and make smarter plays and better plays. So lighten up on some of the feedback. Work on some of the gameplay, since we now know what works and what doesn't work, because we're always striving for just that chess match. And come with a game plan. And there will be flexibility in game plan, especially against some of you super teams. Seahawks, Falcons, Steelers. I want to say Colts, but even though we've seen his defense give up 100 points the last 2 games, there are definitely some super teams. When you play the Miners on offense, man, it's tremendous. Seahawks on offense, man, my mind is kind of slipping here. The Browns on defense, I know the argument is that it looks like the Browns have struggled this season, but he just had a brand new baby, which we should stop and celebrate. I've been wanting to send out a message and just kind of been busy and haven't. Congratulations to our buddy Chaotic. We would not be here as a complete community, maybe the OMFL, but as a complete community in the Grown Folks Online community, have it not been for Chaotic. maybe get in trouble here, but this guy's invested over $2,000 here. He is the reason we have a lot of the equipment that I've been able to purchase to have, stuff like we have, and the website. Like, he is a lot of the reason that we're here. I know that Chaotic is an old soul for some of you. He's a Southern Louisiana boy like me. He's no frills. You get what you get with Chaotic, which can be both good and bad for some of your relationships with him. But he's got a great heart, and we wouldn't be here without a community. And just congratulations to him and his wife and his family on their new baby son. I think it's a son. I think I got that right. I don't have his son's name, but I hear that everyone's home and healthy. And I ask that you guys show some patience. This poor guy works away from home a ton, and so his at-home time is super important, and he's still trying to get his games in. He hasn't retired, and I appreciate that, and that means that some of us need to be more patient with him so he can get his games in and more flexible, and I appreciate all of you for doing that. All right, that's it. So Press Pass number 1 live, 160. No, let's try that again. Press Pass live number 160. There we go. Sorry, I'm sick and not feeling well. The brain isn't functioning. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, hanging out with me. I'm sorry that these have been so far in between. Again, the internet is just getting stable. I'm still not getting the speeds that they owe me, but it looks like the upload speeds are good enough that we can stream. So we'll continue to do some more Press Pass Lives. We'll do another one after the playoffs are over, get us ready for the off season. But that's my predictions for OMFL Bowl number 89. Now I got a lot of graphics to go make, a lot of cutouts to go make. Anybody want to help me with that? I'd love to have your help. But until then, we'll see you. Have a great rest of your week. God bless you guys. Stay healthy, stay whole. Good luck in the playoffs, and sign up for the Toilet Bowl. Help us out. We'll see you on the other side. God bless you. Peace.